Okay, this is going to be a demonstration showing off our menus in our game and how they work. So, first of all, I'm just going to show what the menu can do and then show off the code and the several game objects that we have. So, we'll just load up the game now. So, when you start the game, you're greeted with this menu, which you can look around with. So you can use a controller to move around the options. So when it goes to play, it scrolls. If you go up, it scrolls back down to quit. You go down, it goes down to play. So if we press play, we start the game. So we're in the game. Yeah. So if we want the pause menu to come up, we press start. So start will bring up the pause menu. If we press start again, it'll close it. So we want to go and look at our options menu. So if we go into options, we have three things we can do. We can adjust the sound. So we just move right, left to adjust the sound. You can't hear it at the moment, but it is adjusting the sound. And for the music, same with the music. We just need to adjust this. The help is the prompts. So if we go out and we go over to a tree that can have a prompt. These are all trees that don't have any fruit. So let's go find a tree with fruit. I believe this tree does. This tree has fruit. So we want to turn those off. So if we go into options, turn this off, the prompts will no longer appear. It goes the same with the creature, so we can no longer interact. That's if people find the prompts too distracting, they can turn them off, but we would probably recommend you turn them back, keep them on, and if you just press back, it'll go back here. Quit, we'll quit the game, but obviously because we're in the Explorer, it doesn't do anything. To actually make it quit the game, you have to be running the build of it, because this application.quit doesn't work when you're in Unity's game developer thing. So let's go look at what we have. So we have several things we need for this. So the menus are all located under the HUD canvas and in a menu object. And in the menu object we have two game objects: so pause, buttons, and an options buttons. So each of these hold the buttons of basically their corresponding menus. So a pause has a play, load, quit, and options. As of now, the load, we don't have anything in the load. It may be removed, it may not be. That'll be all determined later in beta state, near beta stage, if we need this or if we don't. But anyway, each button is the same, takes the same image sprite, and so basically these are just button image objects, and inside we have a text object. Actually, sorry, it's not a text object, it's just a normal sprite object, which just basically it'll display the symbol and what we want written on the book. And the options is most likely the same. Well, it is mostly the same, except for we have two scroll bars, so one for sound and one for music, and basically a toggle. So that was the help. So if we want to turn it on and off, we have a back button. So these are all handled by our menu handler. So basically we have a menu handler dummy object, which one script is attached, which is the menu handler script. And when we create a canvas or anything like that, an event handler is automatically made. So we'll need access to this later when we're changing buttons. So for changes that needed to be made for this, so for the highlighted color, when an option's highlighted, we set it to this kind of purple bluish color. So as I saw the selected button moves down. The way Unity does its navigation system, it automatically sets it up to automatic. That will not work for a controller. So the reason, because it's basically stores all the buttons in one single array through the entire thing. And we want access to different menus. So if we were going to scroll down, Unity would automatically go from the quit button, which would move down into the scroll bar of the sound instead of going back up. So for that reason, each button we have to explicitly tell its path. So when we move up on the play button, we want to go to the quit button. When we move down, we want to go to the load button. And that has to be the same for each button. So we basically have to tell it where it has to go. Each button has a on-click event. So this is basically, we need to put in here our script. So this is our menu handler script. And in here, we need to attach our basically our game object. And basically from here we can access the menu handler script from here and access the functions. So there's some built-in functions, but we'll be looking at what functions we want. So when this button is clicked, it'll call the corresponding function. So you need to manually tell it, each button, what to do. So you call the quit function, options, go to the options function, and so on. So I'm going to go show you the actual menu handler script. So if we look at the menu handler script and go back to the top, we have several things. Now we have to make all these public. So basically, because we need access to them. So, and the same with the functions. So we can't have access to them if they're private, so we need to make them public. So we just need to pass in all our basically our objects. So we want to pass in our menu object, which is holding the pause and the options. We want to throw in our pause buttons and our option buttons. We want to throw in our event handler. Our pause vent and option vent are basically used to select the what button is selected when the player presses pause or goes into the options menu. So when they go into the option menu, we want the first to be highlighted as the option event. So we need to explicitly set these. Then we need our two scroll bars for sound and music, and then we just have our audio for our sound. For our private, we want to check to see if it's playing, or the prompts, and we want to see if the tick mark is checked or not checked, and we want to look at access for the player. This is the color block thing. This is to do a bug with Unity 4.6, and I'll go into after I go through all these. So this is important later. So we just want to initialize what we wanted to start. So we look for the player. We set the check as to true. We want the toggles to be enabled, and we want to find the prompt canvas. So playing to be true, and then we want to basically check these, which I'll go through later, as I said. So in the update, we have basically, we want, if we press start, we want to do something. So we want to basically use the pause function to be, and we want to toggle it in the toggle pause function. So if it's toggle, we'll play the open sound, if else, we'll close it. And so we'll just go to the toggle pause. So we want to set the selected game object to the pause event, so that'll be the play button. And we want to set the pause buttons to be active and the options to be false. So in case we're in the options menu and we press start, we want to go back to the start again. So if we're playing, we want to basically set the player movement to be true. We want the menus to be false, so they're not active. We want the animations to be playing, so the game doesn't be false. So we set playing is true, and we want to disable the event handler. So this is basically if we press A on the keypad, we don't want the menu to appear because the menu is binded by defaultly. When you set up buttons, the submit button is automatically A on the controller, and we want A to be picking up objects and all that. So we need to disable that. So when we have all that, we want to basically return false. So we'll set it to be false, and then we basically, if we're not doing that, we want to basically the player can't. So making the player can't move, set them to be active, pause all the animations, set the playing false, and basically enable the event handler so we can actually move around the menu and then return true. So for the buttons, we basically have resume is just we want to call the toggle pause, so we'll toggle on and off, and we want it to be set playing as true. Quit, we want to just application.quit. In the options, we want to set the select game object to be in the option event, which would be the sound scroll bar, and then we want to set the pause buttons to be false and the options to be true. Back button, very similar. We need to change the selected object to be our play button, and just set the pause buttons to be true and the options to be false. So for the toggle box, we want to basically get access to the prompt toggles. So if they're false, we want to basically enable the toggle box, and then we want to basically set if we want to set them active, so if they're false. And then we want to, if checks true, we want the tick mark to appear, and else we want to set them to be false so the prompts aren't appearing. To change the sound for music, and the sound effects are controlled from the audio settings. So the audio settings, so we go into the audio settings and basically call the .set volume. So we want it to be the value of our scroll bar. So the scroll bars have a value where you can change. So if we go into our sound, we want to go into the scroll bar. So we have a value. So here's a value. So we want it to be set to this value here, and that would be the same for the music. So that's about it for that. What else we have? We have basically the highlight button, which I'm going to address in another video because we don't have time for this one. So that'll be in part 2. And so thank you for watching this video.